Hey guys, so welcome back. I wanted to talk to you about this dash cam that I just found out. It's one of the best bang for buck dash cams that no one's really talking about. I'm talking about the Viofo VS1 Mini Dash Cam. So Viofo actually reached out to me. They were like, "Hey Sergio, I think your content's really great, and we want to send out a dash cam for you to review." And luckily they picked that one for me, and I find that it's one of the perfect ones. Because for the longest I've been wanting one, and I had my eye on a black view. I forget the model code, but I think it's like in of itself it was like $500, and I was like, I'm never gonna buy that. I'm just gonna put it in my cart, and one day if I get a bonus or something, I'll buy it. But yeah, so they sent me out this dash cam. It's about, I think online it's about $150. So as far as the affordability, it's probably one of the best bang for buck dash cams that I found, and the size of it is not even as big as my shift knob. I mean, it's just about the same size as my shift knob. It has a whole bunch of functions. It has a function where you can download videos, and if you wanted to see something, you could just play it live. It even has a GPS logger, so if you're driving around town and you're trying to figure out where you went or where your car is going, it actually logs it in the app for you to use. And I haven't set it up myself, but it also even has a parking mode where I guess it's like Sentry. If you turn it on, you can see what's going on with your car. And it does record in some really great quality, both in daytime and nighttime, thanks to their Night Vision 2.0, where it does even have high dynamic range. So you can see like license plates, and you can see things at night. So if anybody cuts you off and you want to figure out what their license plate is, you can just, look it up through the dash cam. And Viofo was so nice to send me not only the dash cam, the VS1 Mini Dash Cam, as well as their hardwire kit, so I can go ahead and just have it hardwired for parking mode. And they even included a 64 gigabyte SD card, so I can have a lot of capacity, so I can keep as much film as I possibly want. It also did come with a Bluetooth remote, and I'm assuming that's for the voice controls that it has. But we're going to get right into it and go ahead and install it into Sylvie. Alright guys, so we have everything that we're going to need right here. We have the hardwire kit as well as the VS1 Mini Dash Cam. So, starting with the packaging, it's really nice. This kind of reminds me of like Apple, how it has like the nice sleeving on it. But here it is right here. The build quality of it is really, really nice. You have the micro SD slot that I already inserted. You have the mute function right there. You have the lock memory card function as well right here. You have a microphone, because I didn't even mention it does also pick up sounds with the recording. So you have a little microphone there for sounds, for in-cabin sounds. And they provide everything for you to have a successful install. So it has like little stickies there for the windshield. So if you have your windshield tinted, you maybe want to move this from one car to the next car, so you might not want to put this little 3M adhesive right directly on the windshield tint. So you want to put this first, which is nice because I actually have front windshield tint. But has little cards here, owner's manuals, things of that matter. When you're going inside the box, it has, a cigarette lighter adapter, so you can hook it up really easy with a cigarette lighter. It also has a USB cord if you had a USB slot somewhere close to where you were putting it. And they also did provide me another sticky just in case I did want to move it from car to car, which is pretty nice. But as far as the actual camera, we need pretty much power to the camera. I'm not going to be using the cigarette lighter. I'm going to be using is the hardwire kit, so I can get constant power, so we can use that parking mode, which is pretty cool. So what's special about their hardwire kit is that not only does it provide of course, accessory, constant power, and ground to the dash cam. And what's nice about it is it has its own module right here that you can select from certain voltages. So whenever your battery is reading a certain voltage, what it'll do is it'll actually turn off parking mode. So make sure it doesn't drain your battery, which is pretty neat. But basically, to get this wired up, all we're going to need mainly to do is to find a constant, which is red, and an accessory power. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using a add a fuse right here, just like I did for my gauges, and I'm going to be adding this guy to the battery for the constant power, and then I'm going to be adding this one to the accessory power, which is right there. So again, these guys are going to allow me to get constant and power to the dash cam for parking mode without having to splice into any wires, which is pretty neat. The game plan is to mount the Viofo VS1 right here into the right side of kind of like behind the mirror. That's a really good spot for me, where it's kind of like out of sight, out of the way, and doesn't block my viewing angle, but it also gets a good view of what's going on in front of the car. I'm thinking maybe closer to the center as possible, just to kind of get that center line, but it kind of depends on where my mirror is and how much space it gives it. So to do that first, what I want to do is go ahead and route the power cable. So I'm thinking, you know, having this hardwire cable all through here, all through the headliner, tucking in this big little converter here into the headliner and all the way through to kind of like the side and then into the fuse box compartment. Now, I don't know if that was a converter, but whatever that is actually really good, because being that little bulge there, it doesn't let this wire come out really easy, which is great. And for this guy, all we want to do is kind of push this towards, you know, the steering wheel, kind of down in a downwards motion. And Viofo did include this little pry tool, which is pretty helpful. Just like that. And just lift straight up, and that kind of comes undone. And then you can drop your seal if you want, but I wouldn't say you need to. And once you kind of routed it through here, just make sure it's not going to fall. Just kind of put your fingers in, just make sure the cable's going to stay in. And then you can kind of put this back just by angling in the bottom side, and then just putting back. But to take this off, all you gotta do is kind of put your fingers in between right here. You'll find it kind of feel like a lip, and you can just pull at it. It'll come right off. And then from here, what you can do is you can route all of these cables right into this little hole here to get to the fuse box. All right, and then you can just put back the cover. Alright guys, so we're right at the fuse box, and I've already done this before for my gauges. So I already have 3 added fuses. One of them is constant, one of them is ignition, and the other one I think is illumination. So the one that I used for constant would be the stop fuse, which is this guy right here. That's a 7.5A. And then the one I used for the ignition is the daytime running lights, which is, I believe, 10A, which is right here. So all you have to do is really add your add fuses to the constant and the ignition. But once you do that, you could just imagine these guys being these of the dash cam, and it shows you right here with battery, which would be constant, which would be red, and then your accessory, which would be the yellow right here. But once you have those connected to the added fuses here, then all you need to do is connect this to a ground. As you can see there, I just used that bolt right there. And for those that don't have like BRZs or FRSs or 86s, they can't use, you know, of course, like the stop for the constant and the DRL for the ignition. All you want to do is use a multimeter, of course, you know, putting this on a ground and then just tapping on each one of the fuses just like that to see which one gives you 12 volts when the car is off. And then that will be your constant. And then all you need to do is turn on your ignition. Once you turn on your ignition, then you want to test and see which one gives you 12 volts with ignition on, and then turn off the ignition and just verify that one turns off with the ignition off. But yeah, just use that, and then this can be, you know, bolted down to any bolt that's there next to the fuse box. So I have it connected right here. It's getting power, which is great. We do have to format the memory card. You want to press and hold the mic mute switch until you hear a little chime and it says memory card formatted. And then after you do that, you want to press and hold your secure video button right here. So you want to press and hold it until you hear Wi-Fi turned on. Once you do that, you can go ahead and use your phone to connect to its Wi-Fi and then open up the Viofo app so we can go ahead and connect. And that way you can kind of put it to where you want to be, and you can kind of see it in live view. Before you put on the camera, you just want to make sure you get an alcohol wipe or towel and just kind of make sure this area right here is nice and clean. You want to put on your film protector. This is something that not everybody will need to do. Some of you can just take off that little 3M adhesive and just put it right on. But for me, since I have that windshield tint, I don't want to ruin it if I ever remove the camera. All right, and once you got it on, you can just go ahead and just push down and then remove the protective film. And now we can go ahead and mount the camera. Guys, so that pretty much wraps up the install. I was gonna take this really cinematic video of me going over the dash cam right up there, but it's so sunny here in Georgia, and I was just sweating and it didn't work out. But pretty much my thoughts on the dash cam, the VS1 from Viofo. I think it's a really great camera for those that are looking for a affordable dash cam that works, gets great video and gets great nighttime vision. Some of the functions that I like about it is that it has like a search by date function, so you can like see when you recorded a certain thing by a certain date, but then you can also find it by the time. So it actually records in certain periods. So it goes like by 1 minute, by 2 minutes, by 3 minutes. So you can kind of change it to how you want. You can have it record 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes, but it just gives you that flexibility to find, the certain event that happened. And one thing I think is really cool is that you can actually turn on certain functions with the camera with voice commands. So you could say, Wi-Fi on, so you can transfer your videos, or you can say voice recording off, because something I don't really personally like is voice recording. I don't know, like I don't really feel like I need it, but you can turn it on, turn it off to save some, storage in the SD card. One thing I like is the parking mode. So you can turn it on and off, and you can even turn it to a certain point. So you can have it turn on 24 hours after you leave the car, or 48 hours after you leave the car. And you can even do like 30 minutes after you leave the car. So with the hardwire kit, it was super easy to install. So I was just like, I'm going to turn on parking mode for only 24 hours since Sylvie sits, pretty much, since I stopped using her as a daily driver. That's a really cool function. And then another thing with the location of the dash cam, it's such in a great spot, like right there behind my mirror. You really can't see it. It's almost like it's in a hidden location. You can only really see it if you're directly looking for it in the center. And yeah, I do have a crack. We're not going to talk about that. That's going to be on when I turbo the car or whatever, but just let's not look at that. So if you guys want to pick out this dash cam, I'm going to leave a discount code in the description. So go ahead and hit on the description and pick one up for yourself, because I really enjoy mine and I think you will too. And those of you that are seeing Sylvie for the first time, my 2022 Subaru BRZ, you want to see everything that I've done to it, I would highly recommend clicking on this playlist right here. This is going to take you to all of my videos on Sylvie, on the build. And if you don't want to watch a ton of videos, I recommend you hitting on this video right here. That's going to kind of sum up all my modifications in one quick video. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.